and welcome to episode 11 of The Mom Game. I'm Emily Jones. She is Julie Dobbs.
Hello.
It is episode 11, day 482,376.
I think it's 77.
whatever this is, we're in the midst of.
Yep.
Yeah, we're here, and
who would
I don't know about you, really, but like sometimes I think, all right, I've got this. I'm in control, to an extent, but I'm going to be fine. And then other days I'm like, holy S, there is zero chance I'm going to be able to make it through this time and see the other side of this thing.
I think what's so hard about it is like most things in life, when you have a challenge presented to you, you have like something you're working towards, or you have an end of that challenge. You say, if I do this, I'm going to get this, but we have no end in sight and like no plan. And I feel like maybe that's what's making it the hardest, especially now they're even talking about kids and perhaps like the school year next year being affected. It's like, oh my gosh, it just makes everything so hard to plan for. So I don't know. And I feel like there's no getting good at it, like you can feel like you have a good day, but it's not like, okay, I figured this out.
Right. Well, and I think that's what's killing me, especially in terms of like, for work, you have a kind of a definitive amount of time you're not going to be working. And then for me, it's completely up in the air. We record on Tuesdays, and Tuesday, the Major League Baseball owners presented the Players Association with a plan to get the game restarted again. There seems to be a large amount of obstacles and hurdles to overcome in order to get that to happen.
Yeah.
But, talking to people today, so I immediately, I'm trying to gauge the interest of, some current, former, whatever players, people, within the game, and even, on both aspects of it, from the player side, and also too from not the front office perspective, but those who they aren't players, but they're obviously affected by what happens.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, for me, that's what's so hard for me to wrap my mind around, is that there is no plan. I don't know if I'm going back to work, when I'm going back to work, in what capacity I'm going back to work.
Right.
And so that's stressing me and my OCD out at a very, very healthy level.
I bet, because isn't it like even a thing where, say they get baseball going, how many people are going to get to go? Like how many of the team staff will get to go? Will there be a reporter in the dugout? Like, have you even heard that?
Yeah. I mean, so there's, we've heard everything from, we just broadcast remotely. All of us, we would just be in a studio watching the game on a feed.
More Zoom calls.
Right. More. All the Zooms. So, there's that where I could be at the ballpark for home games, and then in a studio for road games. I could be in a studio for all the games. They could say, sayonara, you aren't deemed personnel. I mean, essential personnel, and we'll see you next year. There's so little that has been determined that there's, and we're on the periphery of it, right? I mean, the television aspect is obviously a huge thing, because there's not going to be fans for, if anytime soon. And so the TV aspect of it is a big deal, but you've got so much to figure out before you get to that piece of the puzzle.
Right.
So right now at this point, just, in having some conversations today, the proposal that the ownership group, the MLB owners presented, is pretty far from what the players are wanting at this point from a financial standpoint, and perhaps even too from a safety standpoint. And so this is not going to be a quick, resolution. Right. My sister-in-law texted me yesterday. She's like, "Oh, I just read a story about how the owners came up with a plan, and whatever, congratulations, looks like you're back to work," or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, honey, it's gonna be a minute before this."
It's like a plan to make a plan. And it's funny because when they have the negotiations for like a new CBA or that kind of thing, you plan for all of this back and forth, and you plan for like putting things on hold until you get this figured out, whatever. And this is almost a similar scenario in where you have to have the owners and the management come up with these plans and then make sure that the players approve it. And it could go back and forth, and forth, forever. And then you're only talking about playing a couple of months. That's what this plan is for. And then you lose that time, and then you run out of time because there's so much back and forth. And it's almost starting to feel like that might be part of it.
Yeah, and it's just, we'll see just exactly how far apart they are in the next couple of days, as far as the reaction. But the initial reaction that I've gotten from, and also to my colleagues around the league, them talking to their, contacts, and it does seem like there's a pretty wide gap there that has to be. So
yeah, it sounds like it's the same for all the sports too. Like I saw one tweet today where NBA owners were texting the players, like, and it's supposed to be confidential.
Yeah.
Yes or no, do you want to play this season? Just to get a gauge for if the players even want to play. Because if the players are like, you know what, man, no, I'm good. Like you can make up all the plans in the world you want, but to get guys back out there on the court or back out there in the ballpark trying, it's a hard game, right? Like, I mean, just so many factors go into it. They've got to have that will to want to get back out there. And then of course that gets into the whole money conversation too, because some of them need it more than others.
But I don't know. The financial aspect, you've got the health aspect, you've got some players who are more vulnerable than others who have family members that are more vulnerable than others. Like there's so many different things to consider. So
I know
it's going to be a minute.
It's funny because every day, without sports at first, like every night I was like, oh, nothing to watch. What do I do? And now it's almost just, I've almost started, which is sad. I've almost started to not even like think about it anymore. Every night I'm not like, oh, well, the Stars should be in the playoffs and the Rangers would be, in month 2 of their season or whatever. You're just getting used to a world without sports, which is not a world that I like, but I am almost just, it's almost like become normal now, which is so strange.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we talk about a new normal. It seems like that changes every day. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so that's kind of the latest on baseball. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to recognize our title sponsor.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to do that a little bit higher in the show, because we are so appreciative of Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry and the support that they've shown the mom game. They've been with us from the beginning, and it's been tough times for them too. They had to shut down the office due to COVID-19, and now they are back open, which is great news. And Dr. Anna Cowden and her staff can now handle all of your dental needs. So now everything is back on the table as far as they're concerned. So anything you need dental-wise, they're there for you. Have you put off exams, cleanings? They can even handle your cosmetic dental needs, no matter what procedures you might need. Your comfort, safety, and the safety of their staff will be the primary concern. So call Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry at 972-380-6223, or you can email them at info@cowdencosmeticdentistry.com. So a huge shout out to Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry. Like I said, they've been with us from the beginning, and we are truly, truly appreciative of their support. And I know you're going to visit them soon. I think after the last episode, Adam reached out and was like, you want to bring Hattie in to give a look at, let Anna take a look at her teeth. So that should be happening in the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, I think my whole family is going for a visit.
Good. Yeah, I want to make sure my child's not going to be toothless by the time she's, 9 years old.
How are the gold teeth doing? Is she okay?
We're fine. They're still there. The ones that are supposed to be, at least, are still there. So
yeah, they're not bothering her too much.
Rolling on with gold teeth and all in our house.
It's a weird world we live in these days.
It is. Yeah. So we talked mom fail last week. We talked, I just think this giant shit show we're in the middle of.
I know.
Any mom fails to add to the?
I feel like I had a pretty solid week, if we're being honest. I think I'm getting a little better. Now, I say that. A major detail about this past week is that I finally saw my mom, and we went down to the ranch. So I say I had a good week, and that's because I got some help.
Exactly.
I think there would have been a lot more fails if I had another week, without grandma's help. But
right.
You had gone to Virginia, I know, and just said a change of scene was really good for you guys. And we did the same thing. And we just got back today, and it was exactly, I feel like, what we needed, just to just get away, see family. It was the first time my mom had seen anybody, really. She kept saying, we bursted our bubble with you. I'm like, you're just expanding your bubble, because you know how they're talking about now, your bubble of people. So, and we still tried to keep distance, whatever, but just to see her was so good for all of us.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't think that I had too many fails. And we also had Mother's Day. So we could touch on that topic a little bit too. But I know that was just like a couple days ago.
It was fine. We ordered food and had my mother-in-law came over and my mom. So that was the first time seeing my mother-in-law. My mom we had seen because since my niece and nephew were in from Virginia, because once we went to Virginia, we all came back together, my sister and her 2 kids. And so, she doesn't get to see them very often. So she was like, well, here we go. And so both of them came over and we had dinner that I heated up in the oven that I didn't have to make.
Well, good.
And, and had some good wine, and that was it. Pretty wonderful. Yeah.
We had a lot of that. My biggest struggle with Mother's Day, and I don't know if this is just me or if it's just having like little kids, is you want to be with your kids, but you also don't.
Yeah. I think this year it was pretty much don't. Like,
yes.
I mean, I went on I think it was like an hour and a half walk by myself, like just any sort of moment. I toyed with the idea of going to get a pedicure and manicure. My husband was like, go get one. Yeah. I was like, no, I think you have to have a reservation. or an appointment. I'm sure it's packed because those things just opened.
I was wondering about all that too, because that's one of the things I was gifted. I was gifted one from the family.
Yes.
So we'll see. I'm waiting for that one. Still, they're all going to give me a pedicure, they say. And then I was gifted one to go like get it actually.
Oh, like a real one. No, you're talking about like your family was going to give you a pedicure. Yeah. That's adorable, but not going to be effective. I'm just
no.
But that was a very sweet sentiment. That's a super sweet sentiment.
Right, because it was like the thought was before they were opened up. It was like we know she really needs one, so we'll do that. Right. But then they opened up, so I'm like, that's okay. I can do both. So I feel like by next week, maybe we should both have our pedicures and report back.
Yes. I feel like in 2, we rented a little lake house while the nephew were there. And in seeing people's exposed feet, like some people have not taken measures themselves.
Right. Like there's
the gel situation on their toes. And it's like,
so did you start looking at everybody?
Well, like, so this is your strategy. So you're just going to full on, you're not going to mess with it. You're just going to wait until the shit falls off. Like, which is to each their own. But, I was just like, wow, this is interesting. And this is probably means that it is absolutely time for salons and manicure and pedicure shops to open back up.
Yeah, because feet are the worst in general.
They're gross.
Anyway, people just let their feet go to hell.
Oh my gosh, my husband, if he ever, like when he touches me with this bean bed, I could be in a dead sleep. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get your feet off me. Come on. I can't. You're touching me with your toenails, and he's like, they're like so cut that they're not even possible for me to do that. Like, I don't care. I know they're there. You have to. I can't.
I'm with you.
I don't know why. I can't. His feet gross me out. Yeah, they're gross to me. Well, I don't know why.
They're really gross. I think they're the grossest parts of our body.
They're gross. Yeah.
Anyway, so PSA. Even if you can't go to the salon, you can still like take care of your.
Maybe a little maintenance, maybe.
Don't forget your
self-maintenance. So, here we are.
I finally told, speaking of feet and beards and stuff, I finally told my husband, because I feel like a lot of husbands, dads, not just husbands, men, are growing out their hair or growing out their beard. My stepdad, bless his soul, he had this like weird mullet thing going on. I feel like they're all just using this as an excuse to like do whatever they want with their hair, or like maybe what they've always wanted to do, but they have a job or their wife won't let them or whatever. Now they're all just letting all their shit like go to hell. Yeah. And I finally, because I always like Kelly, my husband, with a little bit of scruff.
Same.
Not like a full on like
long.
Yes, long, like where sometimes I catch him and. Here I go making fun of him again, but sometimes I catch him like spinning the like beard hair. So finally today I was like trying to be so nice because that's how we try to communicate. So I think, the salons are open now, and it might be time to just go see about like getting the beard cleaned up and the haircut, just the whole thing. Like we all need help, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to nudge somebody in the right direction if they need it. So that will be happening too for us in the next week. I'm going to get a pedicure, and he's going to get his beard
big steps
whacked off.
My husband I'm a big fan of the scruff. I feel like it's getting a little out of hand, but he keeps his pretty cleaned up, which is good. He's kind of got OCD like me too. So
really
he's not too burly. No, I mean, yes. I mean, it's not on my level, but he's definitely got the OCD in him, like some of it. But when this first started, I gave him a total buzz cut, like super buzz. And I wasn't a huge fan of it. And now it's grown out and like it's like the perfect length that I love it. And then he's like, "Oh, the barbershops are open back up. I think I'm gonna get a haircut." I'm like, "No. This is perfect. There's no need to go get it buzzed off again."
Right. Hey, Bubba.
At the end of the day, if he told me how to fix my hair, I would probably punch him in the face. And so I should probably
That's true. We don't want them telling us.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Or you have a visitor?
I have a visitor.
Yes.
Huh? He wants a popsicle. Go. Daddy's back in his room.
Absolutely.
We say yes to everything these days.
You want a popsicle? Have 3. You can have it. There you go, Ryder. Enjoy.
But yeah, so that's the latest development here. We're just all back in town. We're all going to get cleaned up. Things are opening up a little bit, so we're going to start to slowly get ourselves our appearance back ready for the world to open up. Maybe not, but
maybe
work ourselves out.
That's like the theme of everything. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I know. It's weird. It's bizarre. But I know that you had something that you had posted a while back that I really enjoyed. And I think that we just felt with the podcast, now that we're on show 11, it's like we did one, we introduced ourselves, and then we just like hit the ground running and we went to town. And so it might be a good idea to just revisit who we are a little bit. Right. Now that we have hit the 10 mark and we've flown past that to big episode number 11, and just kind of do that list that you had put out that I thought was really entertaining, 10 random things about yourself.
Yeah. So I posted this on my social media a couple of months ago. I actually was, and we'll have to do another episode on our whole wine business adventure, but I was speaking at a Scout and Cellar convention, which is the wine company that now we both work for.
Yes.
And so I was asked to speak at on a social media panel at our national convention. And so I said yes. And so I started working. There was 3 other women on the panel. And so they had some really great ideas. And one of them, before we spoke on this panel, we challenged each other, or someone challenged the group to post, like, introduce yourself to people who follow you, and do it by posting like 10 random things about you, and then post a picture of yourself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of the selfie, but whatever, I did it. And I will tell you one trick that I learned is if you open up your refrigerator and take a selfie with the light in your refrigerator and everything else is totally dark, it makes you look like super cool.
Really?
Yeah.
So you turn the light, like if I'm in the kitchen, I turn all the overhead lights off.
Wait till nighttime. Okay. Make sure all the lights are off, and then just open your refrigerator door. Stick your phone in it. I'm telling you, it works.
Okay, I'll have to do that. I've been struggling too with these calls and these podcast lighting and all that. I don't know if you saw, I do have to point out, because it's probably completely random. I had this big plan. I was going to make like a background for the mom game. And I have this beautiful painting that's one of my favorites.
Oh, cheers.
And so I was like, oh, it'll be perfect. Like right here, something like that. And then we look like, oh, what a great set, They're professional. But I didn't get to it in time. So now it's just like a fallen over glass of wine behind me.
Well, it's baby steps.
Which I feel like is more like representative of my life anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
But step 1, I'm working on a better background for us.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with my list of like 10 random things you may not know about me. Some of them you might. Okay, number 1 was, despite being on television for the last 20 plus years, seeing myself on TV actually makes me want to vomit.
I know. I still can't believe that.
It's awful. Like the sound of my voice makes me want to vomit, and so does seeing myself on TV. So I've never gone back and listened to one of our podcasts. I have no idea what they sound like. Hopefully they sound good, but honestly, the sound of my voice.
So when a
makes it
boss tells you to like go review tape, you're just like, nah, no.
Well, and then too, after a certain amount of time, like when I was in small local TV, they would have those consultants come in and you'd have to sit there and watch your tapes with them while they critique you. And I was like, oh my God, this is so painful.
So awkward.
And so once I reached a certain point in my career, it's like, and if someone wasn't making me watch myself, I was like, I'm completely and totally out.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, I said, I love you to my husband first after 13 months of dating. So we dated for 13 months. We actually lived together before he told me that he loved me.
Was he nervous or what?
No, he's a deliberate mofo.
He didn't know he loved you.
No, he did. He just wouldn't say it. And so then we went on a trip
deliberate
to Vallarta, and so we're in Puerto Vallarta with some friends, and his sister was with us, and we had been doing some day drinking, and his sister was like, you realize you're going to have to say it first. Because of course it was bugging me.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to say it first. And I was like, that's ridiculous. And she's like, I'm just telling you, he's my brother. I've known him his whole life. And so I was like, fine. So I went in and I'd had a couple margaritas and like went into the house and was like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, okay. So like,
I love you.
Thing about, I love you. Like, and it was kind of a long drawn out thing. And then he looked at me and he was like, yeah, I love you too. I was like, what the so now you just spew it out. Like, I love you too. Like, so nonchalant. Like, I was like, I've been waiting for.
Was he waiting for you to say?
We live together, and you couldn't tell me this. Like, what's happening here? So anyway, I thought
good courage and the encouragement from his sister, and then here you are now.
Number 3, I used to tell people that former Dallas Cowboy Ed Too Tall Jones was my uncle. And would get pissed off when people would like say, "You're crazy. That's not true." And I'd be like, "Yes, it is." And so when I finally had the chance to meet Too Tall, and I told him that story, and he died laughing. I was like, when I was little, I used to tell people that you were my uncle. And he was like, how did that work out for you? I was like, not very well. I don't know why. I was so obsessed and so like convinced and thought it would be so cool if he was my uncle. And so I would tell people that, which is kind of disturbing. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of Ed Too Tall Jones. We don't exactly bear much of a resemblance.
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to.
But you never know. Different life situations, family situations, maybe it could be possible.
Right.
But anyway, it was funny, and I loved the fact that I got the chance to actually tell him that I used to lie about him being my
right. Because when you were little, you probably never in a million years thought,
no, would I ever be right?
Yeah.
Number 4, my hair caught on fire on my 21st birthday when I was leaning across the table trying to flirt with a guy, and it came in contact with a lit candle.
Oh no!
Absolutely true. It was a place called the Sky Bar in LA, and I was trying to be like fancy. Super whatever flirty, and my hair, which was full of hairspray, dipped down into a lit candle and like went up in flames. And I was like, what's that smell? He's like, oh my God, your hair is on fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, silly candle. Like, meanwhile, it was like so flammable. And when's the last time you smelled burnt hair? Have you ever smelled burnt hair?
Yeah.
It smells awful. And so here we are in this packed hoity-toity LA nightclub, Sky Bar, and then people were like, oh my God, what is that smell? And
someone like straightened your hair a little too much.
Yes, and it was my 21st birthday.
That reminds me of one I'm adding to my list that's similar. That we'll get to.
Good. Okay, number 5, speaking of hair, I was once told by an actual professional that I had the worst head of hair she had ever seen in 30 years of hair. I will never forget. Her name was Diane. She had a salon called Hair by Diane in Lubbock. And the NBC affiliate that I worked for in Lubbock sent me there once I started like working full time for the station. They gave me like a wardrobe.
You're like, this is the best spot in Lubbock.
You need to go.
It's on us. Yeah.
And she was like, oh my gosh, I think you might have the worst head of hair I've seen in 30 years of doing this. And I was like, oh, well, that's amazing. And then you got
that.
Nowhere to go but up, right?
There you go.
And
look where it got you.
Well, I mean, my hair is still terrible though. And truth be told, like the criticism that I receive on social media, so much of it revolves around my hair. It's not even funny.
Which is so stupid.
And I don't get
what are you supposed to do about it?
I don't care. I don't. If I cared, I would like curl it or something, which I don't because I'm too
Right.
to do that. So whatever. Number 6, I've been photobombed by the 43rd president of the United States. That one got
I
sent
remember that.
a few years ago when I was doing a live report and George W. Bush walked behind me and yelled something at me while I was trying to talk.
And y'all are like besties though, kind of, right?
Do what?
Y'all are like besties though, kind of.
I mean, besties might be a stretch, but I mean, we're pretty tight. We're pretty tight. I love him. I adore him. I've gotten to know him because when he comes to the games, he sits close to the dugout where I am. And we've gotten to know each other a little bit over the years. And I just adore him, regardless of your political affiliation.
Right. Yeah.
He's a sweet man.
You can tell as much. Yeah.
I dig him. I totally dig him. Number 7, this is something we've talked about before. We did IVF with Henry, our first child. And then I had an emergency C-section with him after 34 hours.
Oh my God.
34 hours of trying to get that child out of me the natural way. And then after that, I spiked a fever and they're like, well, F it. We can't do this anymore. We got to cut you open.
I don't think I've ever heard of someone trying that long before they then decided to do an emergency.
We went in, 5 o'clock on a Friday, and he was born at 2 a.m. on Sunday. It was miserable.
Oh my God.
So,
it's like a whole nother story, I'm sure.
Yes,
what the hell were you doing for those 34 hours?
When you ever want to get to the TMI department, I don't think we're there yet. But at some point in time, I'll tell you all the stuff that went down. Number 8, I was the second female sports director at a major network affiliate in the country when I took over that post at KCBD TV in 2001. So there was, there was women starting to kind of make their way into the sports industry at that point in time, but none of them held that sports director's role, which meant you were in charge of the department. You were the sports anchor at 6 and 10 p.m. and all that kind of stuff. So at that time, there was only one other one in the country, and I was the second.
That's crazy. Just to think how much has changed now,
like I was 22 years old. I was so in over my head, but I had no idea, and I'm thankful I didn't. I got thrown into the fire. But number 9, I hate flying almost as much as I hate seeing myself on TV. There is,
you fly a lot for your job.
Fly a lot for my job, and I have to have a glass or 2 of wine. If not, I'm a complete basket case.
What if it's a morning flight?
I can take, sometimes I could take a Xanax, or I'll even have like a mimosa in the morning. Like I have to, it's something about, and that's probably telling of some other issues, but I'm like, there's something about having that I don't know. It calms me down. And I mean, it's not like I'm getting schlossed on the plane, but
right. Right. It's
even if I travel with my kids, I'll still have a glass of wine, or I got, or whatever. It's just something about it that calms me down.
Are you scared?
Terrified. And it's because I'm out of control. Like, right? I can't fly a plane. You're more likely to die in a car accident. Get it? Totally get it. But I can drive a car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's weird. And I have weird claustrophobia issues. Like if I'm in the clouds, I can't even, like my heart starts palpitating. If we're above the clouds, feel much better. If I can see the ground, like there's all kinds of weird stuff that goes through. Like I have a whole study. Do I?
I said, you're such an interesting study.
That's one way of putting it. So I can have this whole protocol I go through in my head that like once the flight attendants get up, I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. They're getting up. That means there's probably not going to be a bunch of turbulence because the pilot would have warned them if there's going to be turbulence. That's why they're up serving drinks. And like, it's just this whole thing. It's why I haven't traveled it's why I've never gone to Hawaii. It's why I've never gone overseas. It's why I've never traveled farther than, a cross country flight. And that was the Rangers charters, the longest flight I've ever been to when we've flown West Coast to East Coast. So do all the players give you shit? Oh my gosh.
Knowing them, they probably do.
Absolutely. I mean, it is like, it's gotten to the point now where on the Rangers charter, like there's one of the like assistant pilot guys will come back and talk to me about like what I can expect. Like, okay, about 45 minutes in, we're going to have a little bit of turbulence, probably going to last like 20 minutes, blah, blah, blah.
You're like the 6-year-old that's traveling alone on Southwest Airlines that has the person just dedicated to them.
Seriously. It really is. Like it's borderline embarrassing, but I own it. Like I own it. I realize
you can't help it.
they're not rational thoughts I'm having. They're not whatever, but I can't help it. It's just who I am. And now I don't even try to hide it. Now I'm just like, whatever.
I think there's nothing cooler than being in the clouds, Emily. And it's weird. That's the scariest part for you.
It's awful. It's awful. And
isn't that so cool? Like you're literally in the clouds, like the Care Bears.
Yeah. What's in there? What's thunder, lightning, turbulence? There's so many things that could be in the
gas. I mean, it's just air.
Make things bumpy. Clouds make bumps.
No, clouds are not bumpy. They're smooth.
Not the clouds I've been in. I will say though, I put on a really brave face when I fly with my kids because I don't want them to be effed up like me. Like I want them to think that this is just a cool thing. So like I really do hide it when I'm with them.
That's good.
But if I'm not with them, it's all hanging out.
That's probably a good idea.
Okay. And then the number 10 was like, I love my people. I love my family, my friends, my army, everyone who touches my life or the life of my family. Without them, there is nothing I can't do, which is kind of cheesy, but I just feel like I also I love big, I love hard. I'm a shit show, but I mean well, and I truly do love I love my my family, the people who help me with my kids. I love my friends. I love my Rangers community. Like I'm thankful for all this.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like I've talked to people about and noticed just throughout life, like when you're younger, you want to like have like 50 girlfriends and you have like this big pack of friends. And the older you get, it's just like you find your people and there's not as many of them, but the ones that you have are like everything to you, right? They all become family. So I can totally like see what you're saying. It's like find those people and surround yourself with those people.
So true, Julie. Like, you find those people and, you hold on tight to them. And I'm just thankful for those. And you're a part of that too, Jules.
Oh, thank you.
And we say this, I make a point to do this at the end of every one of our episodes. We want you to be a part of our community too. We want this to be a fun place for people to kind of come and get away from their problems, identify maybe some of their problems with some of the crazy ass shit we're talking about.
Yeah.
If there is something that you want us to touch on, if there's someone you want us to talk to, if there's an issue you want us to discuss, we have a whole slew of ideas, but we really do want to make it about what our viewers are identifying with and our listeners are identifying with. So hit us up on Twitter. We're at the Mom Game One. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. We're going to try to branch out into the Instagram, Facebook community. We're just a little slow. But in the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, slide in those DMs. Let us know if you want to be one of our sponsors, just like Cowden.
We're best friends.
We got plenty of plans available for everyone as far as, different things to suit your advertising needs and marketing needs. So we're here for you.
For sure. So next week, I will give my list of the 10 random things about me. And some of them are similar to you, which is, I kind of piggybacked off of yours, but would you know that like I had a weird date incident where I choked on a chicken kebab and had to get the Heimlich. Like,
oh my gosh,
on a date. So that's one of my things. I pulled back the curtain on one of my things, but like how weird, like you had your hair catch on fire on your 21st birthday, trying to flirt with a dude. And then here's my ass, like choking on a chicken kebab. And like, what's wrong with both of us? We have issues. So we'll do my list next week. And I'm sure a lot will happen between now and then as well that we can talk about. We'll talk about our week of momming, one more week of quarantine, and see if there's any more leadway on where sports are headed. So all of that next week. And until then, Em, have a great week.
All right. Stay safe. Everybody, Mom Game out.
Mom Game out.